Hey everyone, this is Dave. I am going to give you basically an overview of our research project. That's what this video will be about. It is a part of your grade, so it will contribute to your overall course grade. It's referenced in the syllabus, so you have a chance you can see it there. I'm going to give you a little more information about when it is due. I'll also, here, I'm showing you where to locate it. It is in the module for week number 2. It's there. I'm also going to go over to a Word document in a moment, which is going to be easier to go through the actual assignment. But again, this video is to give you more of an understanding of what you're going to need to do for this research or paper project. So you do have a project due for this course, and I'm going to give you more details about that now. So again, you know where to find it, and now I'm going to switch over so that I can, talk a little more and have a better visual for you. So this is the actual assignment. So when you get into the link in the module for week number 2, this is what you're going to see. So a couple things to think about. One is this is an individual assignment, meaning you're not going to work on it with anybody else. This is your research project. How this differs a little bit from other research projects that you might have done in other courses is you are using this as your template. So again, I don't want you to give me a research paper that's 5 or 6 pages of just paragraph after paragraph after paragraph. I want you to give me a research paper that looks like this. So you're going to have your name on it, and then you're going to go in and answer each of these questions. And I'm going to tell you that is a better opportunity, I think, for you to do more critical thinking and to really explore your topic more. And it's going to really relate well to the course, I think, too. So here are a few things to keep in mind. One, I want you to give me, and I'll give you the when I ask you to turn in a draft or when I ask you to turn in the final version. I'm looking for a minimum of 5 to 6 double-spaced pages of a Word document. That should not include your works cited page or a cover page. I want 5 to 6 or more pages of something to read. So a narrative, in other words. One of the other differences, I think, in terms of doing a research project like this versus my lecturing is when I'm lecturing and organizing what I want you to learn, I'm taking the liberty of choosing more of the topics and the content. And that's what you're paying for. You think you want me to do that, helping you to learn by my teaching and guiding you through the material. That's what I enjoy doing. But this is really self-guided, meaning you're choosing the topic. So I'm hoping that that will really kind of spark your interest. Like you might look at the course and look through the textbook and look at what I am going to be doing, and you might think, oh, I know there's a topic there that I don't think Dave is going to cover. I would like to learn more about that. So this is your opportunity to do that. I will also say, and that being said, there are some chapters that we just don't have time to cover, and there are some good diagnoses, for example, some good things that you could learn more about that I'm not going to get to. So I'll give you an example. There is an entire chapter on childhood disorders, and there are disorders that are common among children, and some of them actually tend to disappear once the child reaches adolescence or young adulthood. One of them is night terrors. That's children that wake up in generally out of a sound sleep and can be extremely frightening for them. And it is as though they are feeling terror because of the type of dreams that they have. So there's a lot of different reasons, a lot of different things that cause that. But kids do, quote, grow out of it typically. You might want to learn about that. Or maybe you want to learn about attention deficit disorder, ADD, or you want to learn about attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or you want to learn about pervasive developmental disorders, or intellectual disabilities. So these are things that there is stuff out there that could help to inform you about what those things are. And you could decide to choose those things as a topic. Again, I'm more from a clinical perspective. That's really more of what I'm looking for. I want you to learn more about a different type of a diagnosis or an illness, and then hopefully teach me something. I always like to learn. But the thing I'm trying to get at too is with this project, I don't want you to pick something that I'm probably going to be spending some time talking about. But if you do, just keep in mind, you really have to give me something other than what I gave to you. In other words, the diagnosis, the criteria, more of what it's like for someone to live, to like actually have that diagnosis. I'm going to give you more of that. So you're going to have to give me more to really show me that you've really made an effort to learn about this, learn more about the topic, above and beyond what I gave you already in the lecture. Okay, so what you're giving me, again, you have to work off this page. This is going to be the template for your paper. This is what you have to follow. So I want you to choose a diagnosis and identify it. Tell me what it is. What are you going to talk about? And then I want you to get into more of the theories or the concepts that might speak to this particular diagnosis. For example, schizophrenia is a psychotic disorder, and there is a genetic element to it. So, for example, if you have relatives that were diagnosed with schizophrenia at some point in their lives, it's not a guarantee that you're going to develop schizophrenia, but you are at a higher risk. So there's the biological perspective, which is what you're going to learn more about in Chapter 3, will inform you more about that. On the other hand, there are different ways of understanding anxiety disorders, and there is the behavioral perspective is some types of anxiety or fear are learned because we observe them in other people, like our parents when we're kids. You've ever wondered why some kids develop a fear of snakes, for example, is because, surprise, surprise, their parents have a fear of snakes too. So, some would say that some of the causes of anxiety disorders are learned behavior. Other folks might say that perhaps there is something in terms of how your ego developed, your personality developed, or do you have unresolved conflict, intrapsychic unresolved conflict from your childhood, for example? Has that tended to make you more sensitive to stimuli and maybe more prone to overreact? It might be a psychodynamic or Freudian explanation for maybe your experience of an anxiety disorder. There's a range of different theories. So anyway, I want you to get into that a little bit. What are some of the theories and concepts that might speak to this diagnosis, what it is and why? I want you to also describe what are more of the psychological symptoms. Like, what do you think you'd have to describe for me? What do you think it would be like to live with this illness? What would it be to walk? What would it be like to walk in someone's shoes who has this particular illness? I want you to also tell me what impact the illness might have on someone's ability to sustain relationships with loved ones, with friends, with intimate partners. How might the diagnosis make it more difficult? Also, how might the diagnosis of the illness make it more difficult for someone to pursue their career, their educational goals, etc.? Also, what can you tell me about the cultural norms or the societal norms about this illness? Is it very taboo? Is it more common? Is it something that people looked at differently a few years ago, and now the society tends to look at it with more understanding or more lenience? For example, society did in the 1940s and 50s, for example, have very different views on gay relationships, homosexuality, bisexuality, etc., than it does today. So is there anything about a cultural or societal lens that says something that's relevant to this particular diagnosis, whatever it is you might be looking at? I also want you to be able to share with me 3 main takeaways. In other words, I want you to be able to tell me what are some things that when I know you're done with this course, when I know that you're done with a research project, that you're going to take with you. And therefore, I'll know that there are at least these core things that you've learned, and maybe it's changed you in some way. Maybe you've learned something that was significant for you. And I'd like to get a sense of what that is. And I think I skipped one question in here. Oh, and I also want to know why you chose this particular topic. And I'm saying that because, just reminding you, I don't share this paper with anyone. I'm the only person that reads it. But I'm curious as to why you chose, we will be curious to know why you chose this particular research project and this diagnosis, for example, this illness. And there are a number of reasons why people choose one of these diagnoses. And it could be maybe you have a loved one or a friend that's living with it, or you maybe have wondered yourself if you have struggled with it. Or it's just something you've heard about that you just have always wanted to learn more about. A lot of people want to learn about, for example, what used to be called multiple personality disorder. It is a dissociative disorder. It's no longer called multiple personality disorder, but that's something that has gotten people's attention in the past. Maybe you want to learn more about it, even though we do talk about it in one of the chapters, chapter 8. Okay. I really am looking for more critical thinking from you. Again, I want you to be able to really kind of shine a light on some things and maybe, give me, some things to think about as well. Works cited, page 2, or part 2, I should say, part 2, is I want you to tell me what your sources are. So did you use a textbook? Did you use a journal? Did you use publications through the American Psychological Association, the American Psychiatric Association? Was it some things that you read on the NAMI website? Did you consult blogs? Did you talk to? Did you go to a conference and was some of this discussed? Any number of things, but I want to know where you're getting some of your, what's the foundation of what you're talking about, like where you're getting your information from. So you got to do a works cited page. I happen to like the American Psychological Association, their style for citing sources and references, but overall I want you to be able to just tell me what the sources are. And I'm not as jazzed about what style you choose, but I do happen to prefer the APA style. That's just my thing. Okay. Again, this is in your syllabus, so you can look at the amount that this will generate in terms of a score toward your overall course grade. And I want a draft of your work or earlier to me via email by week 10. And then the assignment itself, the final version, is due to me week 15. And the good news is when you turn that in, next week after that is week 16, and there's only one exam due. It's exam number 4, and at that point you are done with the course, unless you have any late due assignments to me, in which case you still would have a little time after that. Anyway, you got time to start this project. Please don't wait until the last minute to work on it. Have fun with it, enjoy it, and please ask me questions if you have any. I'm sure you will. Thanks.